Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new edition of Pod by the Bay. It is the ranked edition of the podcast. Since its inception, December 1st, 1971, when your South Florida Bulls men's basketball team faced off against Stetson, it has been 19,080 days since that day. And for the first time in program history, your South Florida Bulls are ranked in the AP poll and in the coaches poll. First time ever. What a freaking time to be alive. Seth, Steeg, welcome into the party. It's a beautiful day. It's a great day to be a South Florida Bull. Let's have some fun and not worry about Saturday.
No. Why would you worry about that? It was, I think we talked about it on a previous episode that, when would they be ranked? Because it was, I believe I asked, has anybody that's ever been ranked, been left out of the tournament in like modern times? Colin hit me up with somebody, I think New
UNLV.
Mexico or UNLV team that got left out. But that was a while back. So it was kind of like if they could get in the top 25, then you feel a lot better about their chances, obviously. And the feeling was this was before the last two games, if you went 2-0 there, you'd have a chance because you're kind of slowly creeping up. And they did it, and they beat a really good SMU team, at least according to the metrics, and never really felt in doubt either. So, that's the other team. All these teams that, they had a 40% chance to win that game according to Ken Palm. Same as FAU is a 40% chance, I believe. And you had, double-digit leads for most of both of those games. So it's interesting. I did see one stat where, there's another guy named Bart Torvik that is like Ken Palm-esque. He's got his own numbers. And I think he's got, like, in the last 30 days or something like that, USF 7th in the country or something to that effect. So they're really playing really well in this conference stretch. Hopefully, this is kind of one of those things where, don't really care about the early season stuff that may come back to bite them. Just enjoy it now because not only are they ranked, they clinched a share of the conference championship.
Big news there. Yeah, I mean, frankly, there's a lot of haters and losers out there. And I say that in jest, and I'm also saying that in all seriousness, too.
There are many.
Of which there are many. I mean, you can try to mental gymnastics your way into whatever route of thinking you want at any particular point in sports. Thank God for free thinking. But for a win streak of 13 games, to win 19 of your last 20, to turn the dial completely on its head, from the first 6 games of the year to where we're at now. I mean, it's an incredible feat one way or another. And it's the first year with a head coach at the helm. I mean, all the praise and all the talk that the media pundits have given USF is very well deserved. There's some people that are going to discredit USF because of non-conference strength schedule, because of how the scheduling philosophy worked in the AAC this year, where the top teams played each other twice, the bottom teams played each other twice. But let's be real, all the coaches agreed to that. So if you have a problem with it, take it up with your own head coach. But to win at this level consistently and do it at the way that they've done it, which is differently and efficiently, and you win your clunkers, you win by double digits, you win by whatever it takes. You're seeing a lot of grit from this team. It is so refreshing to finally have people talking University of South Florida athletics as a whole in a very positive way over the last couple of days. The little graphic that they showed during the game of the AAC Indoor Track Championship, and talking about baseball and talking about softball, talking about every other sport that's going on right now. It's incredible to see all of this just culminate into literally one day like it did against SMU on Sunday. So I love it. I'll let the haters and losers just keep on talking themselves in circles.
Yeah, I'll say this, from the historical perspective, right? Like I've been a USF fan for over 20 years. Started going to football games when I was 10 years old, right? Like if this is what this season as just an athletic department has meant to a lot of fans, not just me. And I know we give them a lot of crap, but like I literally would die for this university and for this athletic program, to see what they've been able to do. Because God, man, those first 6 games, they were terrible, and I did not see it coming. I remember sitting at Olivia's cheer competition on December 9th, watching the Florida State game and just being beside myself. Like, wow, okay, this was a lot of fun. And then it just kept happening. And then it kept happening. And then now you just have like a full-fledged – it's just a good basketball team. They're solid. They can do a lot of things. I think like a 7-1, like Zach Edey or whatever, would eat them alive. That's fine. But they do a lot of fun things. They do a lot of things well. And what this basketball program has done is kind of help take the department as a whole into the next step. Like, okay, when things are going well, this is what this university can be. You already have the AAU status. You have awesome campuses. You have the on-campus stadium coming. You have great facilities elsewhere. You just had this albatross just around your neck for the last 53 years, essentially, of just ineptitude, futility. I was texting with a couple of my friends who were Florida State fans, and we were just kind of talking about just basketball in general, what Florida State's kind of gone through. They got chipped out of probably a pretty special year in that COVID season. I was like, yeah. And he was like, man, this is the peak of USF basketball. Like, congrats. Like, kind of, poking at me. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. They've been so bad for so long. And you run off a 19 of 20 straight, like 13 straight games, program record, second longest winning streak. Like, you're damn right I'm going to enjoy this. And I think, in the Discord, we've kind of harped on it over the last few days. Like, this is what we've always wanted. Enjoy it. Don't let the next game be basically the Rutgers game, right? Don't let the next game be the one that ruins it for you. And I think even, more recently than that 2015 season for football, we saw a team that, they were terrible for 5 years. And then they finally started to turn around. And I don't think people really got to enjoy that 2015, 2016 team as much as they probably should have, because they were waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I think that's just USF fans in general just being beaten with ineptitude across the board, not being able to enjoy the moment. This is your time to enjoy this moment. Like, this kind of special run doesn't happen often. Ask Florida Gulf Coast. All right, ask Davidson. Like, this is a special moment that we're in. Enjoy it today. I'll get off my soapbox.
No, it was perfect.
I think that's fair, especially because, I think we're going to talk about it soon. I think they have a difficult matchup on the road coming up, so this may be a short-lived in the top 25. But I don't know. They seem to keep. I mean, obviously, they just keep winning every game we say is a difficult matchup. So maybe they'll just keep it going. It's really interesting to kind of see the rise here, and like Steeg said, some of the people that are all of a sudden don't care about head to head. It's well, what about everything else? It's like, well, you did play and you did lose head to head, so I guess that doesn't matter anymore. So we are post head to head. We're in full analytics ball now. It doesn't really matter. The games don't matter. What do the stats say? So
listen, I love advanced analytics. I think it's a great way to tell before the games are played how you match up. It's a great way to look around at your team and see how they stack up around the country as well at times. If you lose the head-to-head, just you can't bring that up. Our advanced analytics say that no, it doesn't. Like, you lost the game. Like, I don't talk mad about like FAU or Memphis beating us in football because they beat us head-to-head. Why would I try to talk crap about that? But when we beat them in basketball, all of a sudden, oh no, it doesn't matter. Just befuddles me at times how fans just do mental gymnastics like this.
Some games on the field have to matter at some point.
Listen, only one stat matters. W's. All right. Everything else is for nerds.
Absolutely. And if the nerds are keeping track at home, that's 13 straight wins, second longest winning streak in the entire country, 19 of 20. I just wanted to kind of do a little historical perspective here. So there's been, I believe, 53 seasons of USF men's basketball. There's been, and forgive me, I'm counting. I based it off of Wikipedia because I wasn't going through the USF history book and trying to count up all the games played, but Wikipedia seemed right, so I'm going with it. I added in this season's total. So they've played in USF history 1,578 games. They are 711 and 867. They have a winning percentage of just a hair over 45%. They've only had 21 winning seasons. I think they've had 4 20-plus win seasons. This is the first time that they've won over 20 games in the regular season. What this is history being made, and I tweeted out from our Bay Area Examiner Twitter account on Monday. 19,080 days, right? And it's the first time that this program's been ranked. What head coach Amir has done this season is untouched. Like, build the freaking statue. All right, this team was an absolute dumpster fire for the last 3 seasons, and he turned it around in 6 months. Like, you don't do like that's not normal. So
It's
as we
crazy.
like this does not happen. All right, it just doesn't, especially at USF. This does not happen ever.
We're usually the ones that are like, God, why can't this happen to us?
And like, we've been waiting for a Florida Gulf Coast type of run. Like, we've been waiting for that for years. And I'm not entirely convinced that they'll make the NCAA tournament. And frankly, I'm not entirely convinced they're one of the 25 best teams in the country, but they are playing like one right now, and that's what matters right now to the rankings. They 128 points in the AP poll. They have a pretty good cushion over BYU, I believe it is. 57 points in the coaches poll. 26 and 27 are like within 6 points of them. So very close voting. But this is a lot of fun. Let's enjoy it. Let's have some fun. Looking ahead to Charlotte on Saturday. They're 17-10, 11-4 in the conference. They've lost 2 in a row, both on the road. They've been horrific on the road this season, but they are 12-1 at home this year. And at Charlotte is one of the most difficult places to play in this conference. They don't lose. Their last loss was November 29th versus Davidson, 85-81, and one of Davidson's players went off for 30 points that night. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, according to our good buddy Ken Palm, they have the 20th ranked home court advantage in college basketball. It's worth about 4 points them playing at home. For reference, USF's at 3 points and 148th. So they are really good at home. And we saw, like, they probably should have won the first game between these two teams. That would be one if you were a fan of Charlotte and you were kind of more upset like these other teams that USF soundly beaten. That was one that I thought USF kind of came in and stole a little bit. So that's definitely is if it's a similar kind of game, them being at home, are they going to have that same kind of choke factor that they did in Tampa when it started getting rolling on them a little bit? So that's, I think that's definitely something that bears watching. And this will be a difficult game. And then if you win this one, is this one lock it up?
This one's lock it up. This is for the whole shebang. This is for all the marbles.
So you got them they're on a 2-game losing streak right now, but both on the road. But I mean, we saw them. They've got some size and they got some dudes that can play. They've got a good guard in Patterson, and then fake Dirk Milicic is a player, and Deshaun Jackson was a big dude that could move down low. They've got some good players. They're tough to guard, I think, but this team keeps beating teams. So it's not like it's just 13 in a row.
Probably not a fluke.
Yeah, so it should be a fun game, but I would not be shocked if this is the one that you lose and kind of ends the streak. But hey, man, they just keep this team just consistently beats and surpasses expectation. So maybe they'll keep doing it.
If it's going to be a USF victory, it's going to be gritty, not pretty. I mean, I hope everyone's going to temper expectations and understand everything. I hope people aren't going to throw in the towel 10 minutes into the game. We'll see what happens.
Speaking of teams who have not lived up to expectations, women's basketball lost again. They are 16-13 in the conference, 16-13 overall, 8-8 in the conference. They lost to Tulsa on the road, right? Yeah, on the road, 72-65. I think they were up 21-8 after the first quarter. And Steeg put into the Discord, "Wow, where's this team been?" And my immediate thought was, just wait. And
yeah,
we just had to wait. Their next game is Saturday versus Tulane. It is senior night, 7 p.m. on ESPN Plus. And then they close out at SMU, and then the American Athletic Conference tournament starts March 9th. Chalk it up. Moving on. Baseball. That was a fun little weekend for your baseballs, man.
What? It's a novel concept to schedule a bad team early and just feel good.
Well, to be fair, Marist did beat Southern Miss last weekend, who hosted a super regional. So
I messaged one of our Bruin guys, and I was like, "How did this happen? How did they beat Southern Miss? They were egregiously bad at pitching.
It was not great.
Ooh, but hey, confidence builder.
Yeah, absolutely. 4-game set, run ruled every single game, which is phenomenal. 16-3, 10-0, 11-1, and 12-2 on Sunday to round out the run rule sweep. I don't think I've ever seen that before. All of them going 7 innings. So the good and the bad, you don't really know what your back end of the bullpen looks like. You lost 8 innings of work for some of these guys. So that is the unfortunate.
Oh,
that's the unfortunate part early in the season as you're trying to figure out your bullpen. But I think they'll survive. They play Florida State on Tuesday, and then go to Central Florida over the weekend. Couple big things. Rafael Betancourt, AAC on a roll. He had a 7 RBI game on Friday night. Drew Brutcher, just kind of pointing out some notable stuff that I saw kind of going through the stat sheet here. Drew Brutcher, 10 walks, 2 strikeouts so far this season. seeing the ball pretty well. I think we all kind of know what my thoughts. Drew Brecher should not be in Tampa still, unless he was drafted by like the Rays or something. And even then, he should be at Port Charlotte. Like, glad to have him on the team. He shouldn't be here. He was way too talented, but we'll take him for now. Jackson Mayo hitting the ball, which has been a nice surprise. Through 6 games, he has 9 hits and 4 of them been for extra bases. This team is stealing at a pretty high clip so far. 13 stolen bases on the season. They've turned 9 double plays through 6 games, which is pretty great. Team ERA of 1.96. They're batting 3.06. And this is basically without Bobby Bozier and Eric Snow hitting the ball. They're both hitting either Snow's hitting 238, Bozier's hitting 217, and they've been just cruising. John Montez has been good, hitting 421. Rocky Betancourt leading the team with his 474 batting average on the season. That's been pretty great. Bryce Archie, USF quarterback. Seth, you and I heard that he throws, he'll touch 90 on his fastball.
Yeah, I heard he can touch the 90s.
He brought out a pretty nice little breaking ball on his first strikeout of his collegiate career to get the K, to get things going on Sunday. So, dual sport athlete. How about it?
That was fun. That was fun to watch.
That's always pretty cool. And hey, it's never bad when your quarterback's a pitcher too. That's always good stuff.
And Tommy Evold effect.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, they'll face Florida State on the road, and then at Central Florida, where they ruled Central Florida in the conference tournament last year. That was the last time that these two teams played each other. They split the season series last season, 3-3. So moving on, Steeg. I know I skipped something in the rundown, so I'm going to circle back to you right now. We kind of touched upon it. AAC Indoor Track and Field Conference Champions. Are you kidding me?
Yes. No, I'm not kidding you. That was a perfect culmination of what Eric Jenkins has been building around this program ever since Michael Kelly hired him a couple of years ago. For those uninitiated and not in Discord where I explain this, track and field is it's still a points-based team championship, right? So your best athletes, the Romaine Beffers won a national championship last year, didn't do anything for the team side of things because at these team events, you're scored based on where you place. So first place gets you 10 points, second place gets you 9 points, trickles all the way down until 8th place which is worth 1 point. And so what you'll see happen is on these Friday events, it's usually just random events that they'll just kind of spurt in there, and then they'll do a lot of qualifiers for the Saturday events. The big ones you'll hear, the 4x400s and the 1 meter, 200 meters, et cetera, et cetera. And so what ended up happening for USF was they didn't really do that well on Friday. Like, they did pretty okay at most of the actual events. Kobe Babin, namely, got first place in pole vault. And one of the women placed, I think, second in one of the other events. I can't remember which one. But they did okay on Friday, where they were in 6th and 8th respectively. And then on Saturday, when the teams actually had to run, that's where USF just absolutely cleaned fucking house. The biggest kind of point differentiator was at one point in the 200-meter hurdle or the 200-meter event, USF had 5 of 8 guys competing, which means USF was guaranteed the most points no matter what in that event. Oh, and they just happened to get 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then the other guy got a do not third. So they crushed it. They got 27 points there. As a team, they got 166 points for the men's side of things to get first place, well ahead of second place. I think they cleared by 60 points. So just absolutely crushed it at those. On the women's side, they did really, really well as well. They got 3rd place. Some of the Rice athletes were just absolutely killing it. And then Charlotte out of nowhere, I think had like 5 girls placed in the 5,000 meter and just overtook first place and didn't look back. So overall, phenomenal weekend for Eric Jenkins. And then we still have the outdoor season, baby. We just get to do this all over again in a couple of months where USF is going to trail on Friday and everyone's going to be like, oh, what's going on? And then on Saturday, they're going to win like 8 events and it's going to be wonderful.
Who would have thought that a school in Florida would have some fast people?
Well, for the last up until like 2021, that was not the case. So I distinctly remember, and I talked about it on the pod before, that was I had just kind of starting to take over the blog, and so I went to media days with Colin, and we interviewed Michael Kelly after he got hired, and I told Colin I have one question for him. You can talk about whatever you want, but I have one question for him at the end of the podcast, and it was this: why is the track team not good? We are in the state of Florida. There are plenty of fast people. Why are we not good? And he paused to give a good answer, basically said, we'll evaluate at the end of the season, kind of take it from there. Former head coach was gone by the end of that season. Eric Jenkins was in, and the rest has been history. Between what women's golf has done, and we'll touch on what they did this week as well at the end here. But between women's golf and track and field and cross country, to be frank, like those were the 3 sports that always held USF back, including volleyball, and they've all kind of seen like the level just rise. And I mean, this is a pretty competent athletic department now, and kudos to Michael Kelly. He rightfully or wrongly caught a lot of crap for a lot of years. Jeff Scott keeping on to Brian Gregory for too long. The godforsaken extensions that everybody got, like this, it's the Kevin meme from The Office. So it's just nice to win one, and he's just doing it often. So kudos to him with the vision there to kind of see things through. And I think Eric Jenkins may have been his best hire on a pound for pound basis of where they had to come from, because they were just historically bad forever and ever. They were really good at the field events. Matthew O'Neill was a 6-time All-American, but they were never good at running, and it looks like they figured that part out.
That's just shocking.
Two fun facts. 2 dual sport athletes to speak of on the track team. Arthur Rowe, goalkeeper for USF Women's Soccer. Jaquan Smith was there competing. Don't know if anyone got a sneak peek at that. He didn't do well, but it's beside the point.
He's young.
Yeah, he's young. He's still learning.
Doesn't take up a scholarship.
Yeah, doesn't take up a scholarship. That's the point. There it is. Moving on, as we this is a pretty jam-packed episode with all the fun sports kind of going on. Softball, pretty good weekend. Gave number 4 ranked Washington a run for their money, lost 2-1. Oregon State beat them 5-1, 6-1, and then they won the final 3 games of the weekend. They're 10-5. They've won 3 games in a row. They beat Loyola Chicago 2-1 in 8 innings. They shut out Pitt, shut out Yale, and then they'll host Stetson for a doubleheader on Wednesday. And then guess what? Another USF tournament, early season tournament, hosted by your South Florida Bulls. Louisville, Georgia Southern, Louisville, Central Michigan, and then a doubleheader to close it out with Villanova before kicking off conference play March 8th. I think Ken Erickson is 7 wins away from 1,100 wins in his career. Steeg, do we feel like the hitting's going to be fixed, or is this still going to be a work in progress the rest of the year?
It's getting better. The problem is that because these tournaments, which by the way, they're really reaching for the bottom of the barrel in some of these tournament names. And the problem is that you're going like 5 games at a time, like over the course of like 3 days, and so you don't want to like exhaust anyone. You also don't want to like not win either. So you have to like strategically move girls up and down in the lineup, take them in, take them out early, do whatever you need to do. They started hitting a bit better about midway through that Pitt game, and then it carried over to the Yale game as well. I think they got some really, really talented pitchers coming in this past weekend. So hopefully this Stetson series is going to be what the Marist series was for the baseball team. Pitching's good. Defense is – this is probably one of the best defensive teams that Ken's ever had. And I'll say that very boldly. And so at this point, it's just, can the bats continue to sustain success? And I think they can. I think he's got to experiment with the lineup just a little bit more, but I think he knows what he needs to do here.
Fair enough. Looking forward to it. It's always nice when both of the bat and ball school teams are doing well. Steeg, men's women's tennis update. Panic season ?
For the men, no. The men have gotten just the worst of luck right now. They are on a 3-game losing skid. All 3 of them, 3-4 losses. All 3 of them dropping the doubles point. Which historically USF has been one of the better teams under Ashley Fisher at the doubles point. The first 3-4 losses against Memphis, who Memphis is one of the hottest teams in college tennis right now. They've upset many of top programs. That was last Friday, or the Friday before, excuse me. Then they lost to Santa Clara this past Saturday. Santa Clara is ranked in the coaching or the ATP poll, and then they lost to Troy later that day. And scheduling wise, I don't know why we continue to do this where they play the 2 games back to back instead of giving themselves the reprieve, because you battle against Santa Clara. You do a lot better against Santa Clara than I thought they were going to do. And then you turn right back around and you have to play a pretty spry Troy team, not even 35 minutes later. Like, you're going to be a little bit more tired because the other team's just been rallying for the past 4 hours. So I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully they'll be able to right the ship. This is still one of the more talented teams, and they've got one of those loaded classes in Ashley Fisher's recruiting tenure coming in the fall. So, I think Alvin Tudorica and Eric Gravelius are still 2 of the best players that tennis has right now. They got to figure out the doubles points, and they should be fine. The women's side, it might be panic season again.
Come back, Sierra.
And I mean, they need help in the worst possible way right now. They need a reprieve in their schedule. Again, don't know. I know you want to schedule tough competition. Something about traveling to Louisiana for 2 really good tennis programs and then coming back to welcome the number 11 team in the country just doesn't sit right with me for 3 straight losses. They have some good victories under their belt, but overall, they're suffering from the same issue. They're going down 1-0 after doubles points, and then they're playing well in singles, but not getting 4 wins in singles, which is asking a lot. So they're playing a tough Michigan State team on Wednesday. So hopefully they'll be able to right this ship a little bit. After that, the schedule starts to ease up a little bit. But, they've got about a month until conference play, and they really need to start figuring it out because they've lost 2 conference games already. No, just 1. They lost to FAU. They beat. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, they lost to FAU and Tulane. They beat North Texas. So, if they want any hope of advancing to a conference championship, they got to turn the heat back on.
Fair. Finally, and we'll round this out and we'll end this episode. Women's golf. They had a pretty freaking great couple of days of golf. They shot a team record 28 under par. Basically shattered the previous record of So their 54-hole score of 836 shattered the previous record of 852. Melanie Green tied a career and program record with an 8 under 64 in the final round, which is pretty great. So as a team, full shoot 28 under par. You're thinking, wow, that's super awesome. They won, right? And then it's the meme of Anakin and Padme. Then, right? No. Kansas freaking shot a 43 under par. USF finishes in 4th place. Oklahoma shot a 37 under par. Wisconsin 34 under par. That is some phenomenal golf by everybody playing. Nobody shot over par on the tournament. Last place, UNC Wilmington was 3 under par for the tournament, and they were dead last.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't do much better than that. Melanie Green 11 under for the tournament. Alizi Vidal 8 under. Alyssa Montgomery 6 under. Emma Falkshire 3 under. The 4 basically scoring rounds of golf. The uprising continues, folks.
Oh, yeah.
What would you give to shoot 11 under? What would you give to shoot 11 under in 3 rounds?
Boy, I would give up like fast food to be able to do that.
That would be pretty sick, right? It'd be pretty cool.
Brief golf update. They're playing a midweek tournament in near Las Vegas. They are in 3rd in their tournament. They're 3 shots off the lead. Nothing really notable. They're 8 under for the day. That's fun.
Nice.
So full rounds to go. So not much. Brock Healy and Cooper Smith are in the top 10. Yeah, looking at the scores, I see a good mixture of reds and greens, and then a few blacks in there, which is blacks and blues. Not as good.
Those doubles and triples.
Yeah,
that's more my pace. big doubles and triples guy over here.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Oh my goodness, great. I'm starting to pick up on golf more, and it's probably like not a good thing for me because now I'm like being much more critical, like hole.
And you really wonder like how much wider you can get, and you just add golf to the mix, and boy howdy, you're gonna be extra white, brother.
Oh my god! I mean, I'm the resident sailing expert at this point, so I don't know if I can get. I don't know if I can get that much wider.
You worked on.
I think you guys would.
Okay.
You guys would murder me if I
got too much more white.
Golf expert. Oh god.
Oh man. All right.
And that reminds me, I need to check sailing schedule.
With that, we're going to wrap up this episode of Pod by the Bay. Just quickly reminding you that your South Florida Bulls men's basketball team is the 25th ranked team in the country. Don't you forget it. This is a great day in USF history. Always remember February 26th, 2024.
If you want a place to talk to USF fans about this basketball team, we've got a pretty fun community on Discord. You can find the link on our Twitter bio. And we've got some other stuff coming out soon, hopefully, that we can share with you guys. But we'll also be having that extra weekly podcast on Patreon. So join us there on Patreon. Join us on Discord. You can get the Insider Discord for $5 a month, which is basically everything you get from every other message board. But sometimes we break news there as well. And you get it for half the cost. So if you're on a USF message board, cut your costs in half. Come join us. You'll get the same stuff, and you'll get some of it even sooner. So, best value in the game.
Absolutely. With that said, go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls. Women's sailing got 4th in the USF women's team race this past weekend.